2 years in a row now, we've had very quiet Decembers, and then January breaks loose with the snow, and that certainly this week, and certainly to the west, too. And folks be sliding around, and as a result of that, might end up stopping because of a crash. We'll talk about repairing your car this half hour. In fact, later we're going to talk about wearing your jeans to work, which may not be such a big deal, but for the charitable union, it is. And we'll find out why and how you can help in the balance of the 8 o'clock hour. Our Miles for Memories moment later today with the Michigan State Police Trooper Christy Angelo focuses on what to do when someone with Alzheimer's or dementia goes missing. Very important subject, and we'll discuss that before Live with Rank on WBCK. But first things first, as promised, we're going to talk about what goes into repairing your car after a crash, the so-called body work. At least that's the way we used to refer to it. Kent Love is here from Lakeview Ford, where there will soon be, if not already, a new collision center. Kent, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Boy, when do you open?
1st of February.
Okay, so it's coming right up.
It certainly is. Won't be long.
This is a timely subject with the way things are road-wise these days. This is on the minds of some folks. I had a friend the other day who had a chain reaction crash, and she was in the middle, so that means she has damage to the back and the front of the car, having been hit from behind and then pushed into another car. And just this time of year, this morning, I was driving in, and all of a sudden there's a very stately-looking doe standing in the middle of the road. There's another thing that can be a problem for motorists, and you probably get to see the results of all of that.
We certainly do. We definitely live in the great state of Michigan, so we have all of that, and sometimes that's year-round with those deer.
That's right.
It can definitely happen to any of us. So as long as everybody's okay, but, that's what we're here for.
Well, it seems like cars are more complex than they have ever been.
Yeah.
So is repairing them more complex than they've ever been?
Yes and no. Obviously, you definitely have to be educated, a little bit more educated than we were like 20 years ago, So, throughout the year, our technicians and even myself will go to some schools just to stay updated on the newer vehicles that are coming out every year. And it's not just necessarily the Ford products as well. We have to stay up to date because we can fix the other vehicles as well, even though we are a Ford dealership. So
that's interesting. So that means, do you end up having to go to various workshops based on models and makes, or is it more collaborative than that?
Yeah, models and makes, exactly.
Wow.
So it depends on the type of vehicle as well, because they have different materials. Like our new F-150 has that aluminum body on it now, so definitely had to get educated on that last year. And then a lot of other manufacturers are starting to do that as well. So it's definitely a different repair process. So if you're properly educated, you can easily repair that vehicle with no problems.
Are cars these days more readily totaled than they were in previous days? I mean, you presume that because they're more complicated, then maybe it's harder to fix them, but maybe that's not true.
No, that's not true. There are definitely still some totals, but, the price of the vehicles, they still probably go up to 75 to 80% of the value of the vehicle. So if you have, a $30,000 vehicle, you can definitely put some money into it. Part prices are definitely getting up there, and that will definitely help push that over the edge. But the insurance companies definitely determine that, whether it is a total loss or not.
Okay, we're going to talk more about that and just what goes into repairing a car after a crash, and also we must discuss road salt.
Yeah.
And the kinds of effects that has on cars these days. We'll talk about that coming up on WBCK 8:15 WBCK. Kent Love is here from the soon-to-be-open Lakeview Ford Collision Center, brand new collision center. In fact, it's all new in there, isn't it?
It is. We're definitely going to renovate the building, but with that said, Vince, our owner, has definitely gone out of his way to buy the latest and greatest equipment to properly equip that.
Boy, does that change often when you're talking about equipment to repair vehicles?
It does. It definitely makes a difference. The laser measuring system for our frame machine definitely is, the latest and greatest of that. Because everything is so precise now on these vehicles. It's a lot more technical than it was years ago.
Wow.
So that definitely goes a long ways on that. Same with the paint. We're spraying the same product that, the manufacturers are spraying. It is a waterborne paint system. We do have a bake technology, just like the factory. So it's definitely going to put your vehicle back to pre-accident condition.
I had a car a long time ago. Somebody dinged it, and this was a long time ago. And the shop said, well, I can fix that. I can bump that out and paint your door for you. And the first thing I thought was, is that going to match? Is that a problem anymore?
It shouldn't be, no. I learned a long time ago that the best repair is the one that goes unnoticed. And that's definitely holds true to that. How many cars do you see go down the road with, the door doesn't match the fender or the rear door and stuff like that? No, with the latest technology that we can easily match the paint. So if everything goes right, you shouldn't have any problems whatsoever.
It's like going to, I don't know, Menards or something and matching the paint at home.
Pretty much is. It's a little bit more involved with that being automotive, but it definitely is it's a science. So, and if you have the right people around you, which I feel I do, then you shouldn't have any issues whatsoever.
Let's talk about the process. So, like my friend I was telling you about, she had this chain reaction crash, and her insurance company gave her 3 choices for collision repair. She went to one of them, and she's not that thrilled with the reception she got. Does she have to go there?
No. The insurance companies can suggest a shop, but it's actually her vehicle. They have the right to take it wherever they want. Now, that shop definitely has to abide by the estimate that the insurance company provides, but you know what? You can negotiate with the insurance company, and there shouldn't be any issues with that. But a lot of customers don't understand that process. So you have a shop in mind, you certainly can take it to wherever you want.
Interesting. So someone could say, I want to go to the Lakeview Ford shop, even though their insurance company may not have listed that one. You can insist on it.
Exactly.
Okay. So a car rolls in. It's had a collision, and now you have to assess what to do next. How does that work?
Well, obviously, when the car does come in, I write the estimate. I'll explain that estimate to the customer, and then I'll help them, after they filed the claim, help them get that approved through the insurance company if we're not already directly affiliated with that insurance company. And then, obviously, once I have an estimate written, I'll find out the timeline, however long that process is going to take, and then we'll get that going.
What is it might be hard to answer this, so I was going to say, what is the average time it takes a car to be repaired? But, an average repair...
3 to 5 days. Just what I've been seeing. Obviously, there's some harder hits out there that sometimes take 2 to 3 weeks. And that's, a lot of customers don't understand that either. But the normal estimate normally is like the 3 to 5 day repair, give or take, obviously. Sometimes you can't see all the damage right up front, until you get that bumper off, you get the sheet metal off. You might find some hidden damage. That might slow the process down a little bit. But we definitely keep the customers well informed throughout the repair process. So I don't want to have any surprises at the end.
Right.
So the customer is well aware of what's going on throughout the entire repair process.
And when you're talking about the ability to repair any car, not just Ford, you can't have a warehouse full of parts for any car. I imagine you have to send out for some of those.
We certainly do.
Yeah, that could take a little
time. But normally, depending on the vehicle, you can get those parts in 24 to 48 hours.
Okay.
So.
All right, interesting. All right, we'll talk more about this coming up in just a minute on WBCK. Kent Love is here from the new Lakeview Ford Collision Center. It opens on February 1st, 8:20. WBCK, Richard Piet Show, Tuesday. Kent Love is here overseeing the new Lakeview Ford Collision Center that's about to open on February 1. So, that's interesting that it could be just a few days and a car is back on the road. So that's good to talk about with a professional like you and figure out just what's involved in that. And we were talking a little bit about paint and matching paint. Is it easy to fine touch-up and make it match these days? If you're using the little touching stuff?
Yes and no. I guess there's a fine line with that because there's so much metallic in a lot of these colors nowadays that sometimes if you do it, what I see, the amateur will definitely get that touch-up bottle from the dealership and has a big fat brush on there.
Yes.
And they'll just dab it right up in one coat. And unfortunately, then when it finally dries, it'll darken, so it doesn't match. Yeah, it covers up that chip or scratch or whatever, but it just doesn't look right. What I've noticed in the past is if you do it in a process, maybe 2 or 3 coats, light coats, and that might help, alleviate that night and day difference on those colors. So, but a lot of customers don't realize that, but we try to coach them throughout the process too. So.
Sure, that's good to know. It's true. It's not like, I don't know, polishing a fingernail or something where you just glob it right on there.
To do that. So
yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So we hear about salt and road salt, and the effects on cars. Do you see the effects of that?
Yeah, we live in Michigan, so there's definitely some rust issues, throughout the life of the car. So if you properly clean that thing, even in the dead of winter, maybe not this morning when it's so cold out, but that underbody carriage, if that can get cleaned, that goes a long ways. If you go to a pressure wash, car wash, and do it yourself, make sure you get up in those wheel wells. That's where the rust starts at, where the debris, road salt, that type of stuff will just kind of live there for a while. And if you don't get that cleaned out of there, that's eventually going to start corrosion. So,
And does salt itself create rust, or is there an opportunity that salt sees?
There's definitely an opportunity when you have bare metal.
Yeah.
So you have that type of contamination, and then you get the air involved with that as well. That's when corrosion starts.
So how often should we be washing that salt off?
As much as possible. Not every day, obviously, because, the coldness isn't going to help matters. But, personally, I wash my vehicle at least once a week.
Yeah.
I try to. Sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes multiple times a week. So
I knew a fellow who had a car, and he loved it. And he took that car through the wash every day during the winter for this exact reason. Just didn't want that salt to stay on the car.
Yeah.
That's maybe a little over the edge, but, you love that
some people
car.
are like that, though, so I don't have a problem with that.
Well, and let's talk about that. When you meet somebody who is very meticulous about their car and now they're dealing with a body repair, they might want to really know from you that this is going to be right.
Well, there are those customers, but you know what? If you surround yourself with good technicians, and that's why I don't worry too much. If you explain the process, sometimes I'll even walk the customer out in the shop, show them around, show them the process, not explain it, just show them. To me, that is definitely a helpful tool to hopefully, educate those types of customers as well. And then, again, the bottom line, the finished product. When I walk that customer out after the repair is done, I don't want to have to say a word. I want that repair to sell itself, and that customer will look at it and just say, wow, I can't believe it looks like this. And that's what I'm after. That's
interesting because by that same token, there are probably some people out there who, if they've had a slight little bump, they say, okay, I'm going to trade this car in. I don't want to deal with it anymore.
Time,
yeah. Should we feel that way anymore? Has the repair process for collisions advanced itself such that cars are like new?
Yeah, the old saying is it'll never be right.
That's right.
And, sometimes that's not true because sometimes it might be better. Not that the factory doesn't build a great product, but, with all of the latest technology there is, we can pinpoint, if you have to pull or replace a frame rail, you can definitely put it back exactly in the same location.
Wow.
Same with the paint, obviously, we discussed that. So there's not going to be any issues if you do the repairs properly. So,
that's a good point. I mean, it used to be in the old days you could follow some old car down the street and it's going down the road sideways because of whatever had happened to it in the past. You just don't see that anymore.
Battle Creek has a lot of body shops, and there's a lot of good ones, but unfortunately there's a few bad ones that give every the good ones a bad rap,
Mhm.
you know. So, but with that said, if you take it to the right shop, and hopefully you're going to take it to Lakeview Ford Collision Center, then you shouldn't have any issues.
All right, February 1, the doors will swing open at the Lakeview Ford Collision Shop. Where is it? It's going to be right there on the Lakeview campus there, right?
It is right on Dickman Road, 295 West Dickman Road, right at the
Okay.
dealership, right next to the showroom.
All right, and so if folks have questions, I mean, obviously as you open your doors, folks will know more about it, but if they know now that there's an opportunity there to say, take my car there, then maybe they will remember to do that. And if they have questions for you, they can certainly ask, right?
Yep, they can either stop by, no appointment needed for an estimate.
Okay.
You can just stop by during working hours, or you can give us a call at 269-441-2500.
All right, Kent Love, Lakeview Ford Collision Center opens February 1. Thanks very much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, 8:28.